Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to talk about the the worst of all possible worlds when it comes to taxes. So right now, at the time of recording, it's November 13th, 2020, and election has happened, but still a bit unresolved. It looks like Biden's going to win, but Trump is challenging things in court and so forth. So uh, Biden has released a bunch of proposals about his tax plan, and they are not great. And the one I'm going to talk about today is actually this one right here: the capital gains and dividends. So Biden's proposal would increase the top marginal income tax rate on long-term capital gains to 39.6% for taxpayers earning more than $1 million annually. So that sounds like a lot. So under current law, long-term capital gains, which is gains on things that you've held for at least 1 year, are they can either be 0%, 15%, or 20%. If you're in a high income, it's going to be 20%, and then you have a 3.8% Obamacare tax on top of that. So you're talking about 23.8 or 24%. So he's talking about that he wants to raise the top brackets from 37 to 39.6, and that if you are in one of these top brackets and you make you're making more than $1 million annually, then your capital gains rate will be just the same as ordinary income. So that's bad enough by itself in that it's really making it difficult for people to sell things. But on top of that, there is a senator by the name of Wyden, Wyden, who is going to be a big influence on fiscal type things in the Senate because he's going to be the ranking member of his committee. Assuming that the Democrats get into power. So under his plan, he's talking about having a mark-to-market kind of capital gain system where, at the end of each year, rather than paying taxes on what you sell, you just have your total investments, whatever the market value is, compare that to the market value the year before, and any increase is a gain, and you pay tax on it. So there are systems like that in the world. Switzerland has a system like that, and it is generally regarded by economists and such as not being helpful for growth because because you're paying taxes on unrealized gains. So now imagine you're holding any kind of stock, let's say Amazon or Apple or whatever, and it was $1,000. Let's like an Amazon, it was like $1,000 a year ago, and now it's I don't know what it's trading at right now, but let's say $3,000. So it's a $2,000 gain times however many shares you might have. So that $2,000 gain you would have to pay taxes on, even though you didn't sell anything. It's the same kind of problem that we see in mutual funds, where the mutual fund itself sells some of its assets internally, and the person who owns the mutual fund didn't sell anything, from that individual perspective, but has to pay tax on those capital gains. So similar type of thing, except you don't have to sell anything now. So then that actually creates selling pressure that wouldn't otherwise be there because you've got to sell things to pay the taxes. And it's kind of like those old movies where people had balloon notes on their farms, and it's like, oh, we inherited this farm from Pa, but we got to sell the farm in order to keep the farm because we don't have enough money to pay the taxes. Similar kind of thing here. So combine those two things, if they were to happen, we've got mark-to-market gains, and we've got 40% tax on it. So now you're just paying paying and paying and paying, and that applies to anything that's a capital asset, so stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, whatever. And so if we see these kinds of things come to pass, that's going to be dramatically a dramatic negative drag on any kind of wealth accumulation, because a big part of building that wealth is then keeping it. And and if you're paying along the way, you're reducing the amount that can grow over time. And so that's why it's anti-growth, and I think it'll be a terrible idea. Of course, if you are dealing with large enough sizes, then there are certain tax strategies you can apply, and that makes sense. And but for the vast majority of people, they're just stuck. Now, you know, this kind of thing where you have these caveats, like for taxpayers earning more than $1 million annually, those types of qualifications tend to fall off over time. So maybe the first version of the bill has that exemption for people underneath, and then but later on, they either change the exemptions, or inflation adjustments don't quite keep up with reality, and all kinds of things happen. So, we saw that with AMT, alternative minimum tax, where more and more people were getting caught with it as nominal income rose, but real adjusted income did not. So, anyway, that is something to look out for. The Wyden tax plan. So, make sure that you keep on top of these things. Make sure you're talking with your professionals, tax planners, attorneys, and all that kind of stuff, and make sure you're prepared.